The mountains woke slowly that morning, wrapped in a mist so thick it seemed to hold the world in suspension. The valley below was invisible, swallowed by white silence, and the forest at the edge of the sanctuary stood like a dark wall against the pale sky. There was no wind, no bird song yet, only the soft drip of condensation from the pine needles and the distant murmur of a stream carving its way through stone. It was the kind of morning that felt private, as if the earth had not yet decided to fully reveal itself. And into that stillness she came. The leopard moved through the trees with the careful grace of something carrying more than just itself. Her body was heavy, her belly swollen and low, swaying gently with each deliberate step. Her golden coat, usually sleek and taut, now hung softer over her frame, dappled with shadows and light as the early sun filtered through the canopy above. She paused at the forest's edge, her breath rising in small clouds against the cold air, her amber eyes scanning the clearing ahead. There was no hesitation in her gaze, only a quiet determination, something deeper than instinct, something that looked almost like resolve. She had been here before, many times, but never like this. The cabin sat at the far end of the clearing, small and unassuming, built from timber that had weathered into a soft gray over the years. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney, a sign of life within, and the windows glowed faintly with the warmth of a fire that had burned through the night. It was a place that did not intrude on the forest, did not demand attention. It simply existed, quietly, as part of the landscape. And the leopard knew it well. She had watched it for years, had seen the man who lived there move through the trees with his camera and his notebooks, had learned the rhythm of his presence. He did not hunt, he did not shout, he did not chase. He simply watched, as she did. And in that quiet observation, something like understanding had formed. She stepped into the clearing now, her paws pressing softly into the damp earth, leaving faint prints that would vanish with the next rain. Her body moved with effort, each step slower than it should have been, her breathing heavier. She was close, so close to something she could not name but felt in every fiber of her being. The weight of it pulled at her, urgent and undeniable. And so she walked across the open space, past the garden bed where wild herbs had begun to sprout, past the stack of firewood covered in moss, until she stood at the door. It was a simple door, made of thick wooden planks held together with iron. Brackets, weathered but sturdy. She had seen it open and close 100 times, had watched the man step through it with his boots and his coat, his hands full of tools or food or firewood. She had never approached it before. But now she lifted one heavy paw and, with a deliberation that seemed almost human, tapped it against the wood. Once, twice. The sound was soft but clear, echoing faintly in the stillness. Inside the cabin, something shifted. She heard the scrape of a chair, the faint clink of ceramic, the hesitant shuffle of footsteps on wooden floorboards. She did not move, did not retreat. She simply waited, her breath steady, her eyes fixed. On the door. Inside, Arjun had frozen mid-motion, the kettle in his hand still tilted above his cup, the steam rising forgotten into the air. He had lived in these mountains for nearly a decade. Had heard every sound the forest could make, the crack of branches under the weight of snow, the distant roar of a leopard claiming territory, the rustle of porcupines in the underbrush. But this was different. This was deliberate. This was a knock. He set the kettle down slowly, his heart beginning to beat faster, and moved toward the window with careful measured steps. He did not want to startle whatever was out there, did not want to break the fragile moment. He leaned close to the glass, his breath fogging it slightly, and peered through the gap in the curtain. And there she was. The leopard stood at his door, her body turned slightly to the side, her head low but her gaze direct. She was not crouched in aggression. She was not tense with fear. She simply stood there, waiting, as if she had come with a purpose and expected him to understand. Her coat gleamed faintly in the morning light, each rosette distinct and beautiful, but it was her eyes that held him. They were tied, profoundly tied, but there was something else in them too, something that looked almost like hope. She lifted her paw again, and this time the knock was softer, more tentative. It was not a demand, it was a question, and in that moment Arjun felt something shift inside him, something he could not name but recognized instantly. It was the weight of being chosen, of being trusted, of standing at the threshold of something far larger than himself. He did not know what she wanted, did not know what had brought her here, heavy with life and vulnerable in a way that wild creatures almost never allowed themselves to be. But he knew, with a certainty that settled deep in his chest, that whatever came next would matter. That this moment, quiet and strange and impossibly tender, was the beginning of something neither of them had planned. She knocked once more, and this time he moved toward the door.